A key U.S. ally in the Gulf appears to be drifting toward Vladimir Putin's orbit, raising the question of whether Arab states still trust Donald Trump to protect them in an era of missile wars and regional confrontation. The UAE is reportedly set to buy Russian S-400 missile systems under a complex trilateral arrangement, a move that could benefit both Putin and Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who stands to gain diplomatically and financially. For Erdogan, this deal would be one more step in a broader push to upstage Benjamin Netanyahu militarily and politically, positioning Turkey as the go-to power for advanced systems and defense deals in the wider Middle East. Under the reported plan, Turkey would sell its S-400 batteries on to a Gulf state like the UAE, and in return, Washington would reward Erdogan by reopening the door to US-made F-35 fighter jets. But Trump's reward for Erdogan could spell trouble for Netanyahu, who already fears a more capable Turkish air force and a region bristling with mixed Russian and Western systems. In a major defense move that reshapes regional alignments, the United Arab Emirates long considered a close U.S. ally plans to purchase Russian S-400 air defense systems, signaling that Abu Dhabi is willing to look beyond Washington for the hardware it believes can best protect its territory. According to the reported framework, the purchase would take place under a trilateral deal involving the UAE, Turkey and Russia, turning the transaction into a three-way arrangement that links Gulf security, Turkish diplomacy and Russian arms exports. These developments were first described by regional sources and picked up by defense media, which highlighted how unusual it is to see a U.S. partner formally move toward a Russian system at this scale. Turkey has reportedly agreed to sell its own S-400 batteries to an Arab Gulf state under an arrangement quietly approved by Washington, effectively transferring the Russian system out of Turkish hands and into the broader Gulf defense network. In return, the agreement is designed to allow Ankara to resume buying US-made F-35s, reversing the earlier freeze and bringing Turkey back into the elite circle of allies flying America's most advanced stealth fighter. It's worth recalling that the US originally suspended F-35 deliveries to Turkey to pressure Ankara against procuring the S-400, arguing that the Russian system posed a security and interoperability risk inside NATO. Under the reported deal, up to 4 battalions of S-400 systems would be transferred from Turkey to the UAE, instantly boosting Abu Dhabi's layered air defense posture with long-range Russian radar and interceptor capabilities. Supporters of the move argue that S-400s would ultimately boost both UAE and US security, because Abu Dhabi's strengthened air defenses are also used to shield American bases and forces stationed across the Gulf from missile and aircraft threats. The UAE already fields a mix of US THAAD and Patriot systems, South Korean KMSAM interceptors and Russian Pantsir short-range units, meaning its air defense network is already highly diversified across multiple suppliers. In the current environment of global interceptor shortages, the S-400 seems highly attractive as another pillar in that mix, helping Abu Dhabi diversify sources of missiles and radars so it is less exposed to bottlenecks in any one supply chain. Operationally, S-400 batteries would provide the UAE with robust capabilities against long-range aircraft, cruise missiles and certain ballistic missile threats, extending the range and depth of coverage beyond what some existing systems can offer alone. Russia's larger-scale missile production capacity would also help the UAE restore exhausted interceptor stocks more quickly, as Moscow can supply reloads in volume, while Western manufacturers are still catching up from recent wars. This development comes amid renewed tensions between Iran and the United States, where Gulf capitals worry about being caught in the crossfire and are searching for any combination of systems that might better protect their skies. Iran strikes at US-linked Gulf targets after Washington launches another massive wave of attacks across southern Iran. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf declared that the era of one-sided deals is over, saying recent military strikes have fundamentally changed the country's approach to future negotiations and regional security. Iran claims a US base in Jordan was hit, including a command center and drone hangars, during the latest retaliation. Explosions are reported in Doha as Qatar issues emergency security alerts to mobile phones across the country. Qatar says its air defenses intercepted an incoming missile during the attack and confirmed no major damage. The IRGC says its missiles targeted Al Udeid Air Base, the largest US military facility in Qatar. The IRGC claims its strikes hit command facilities and fighter support infrastructure at the US base. Iran says a US military radar site in Kuwait was also targeted as part of its regional operation. Kuwait's armed forces say hostile aerial targets were intercepted inside the country's airspace. The IRGC claims a U.S. support ship and refueling facilities at Oman's Dukhan port were attacked. Iran says the operation also targeted logistical hubs supporting U.S. naval forces in the Gulf. Qatar, Bahrain, the UAE, and Jordan are placed on high alert as the regional conflict rapidly escalates. Air defense systems activate across the Gulf as missiles and drones are reported crossing regional skies. Bahrain sounds air raid sirens and urges residents to immediately move to the nearest safe shelter. The UAE says its air defenses engaged and intercepted Iranian missiles and drones during the attack. Amid the crisis, the IRGC says it stopped a second vessel transiting the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says U.S. forces struck 140 Iranian military targets during the latest round of operations. Trump ordered a fresh round of military strikes on Iran as the fragile U.S.-Iran confrontation erupted into another major escalation across the Middle East. The United States launched its third wave of strikes in a week after accusing Iran of attacking a civilian vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command said the operation was ordered after the IRGC allegedly carried out a blatant attack on a civilian cargo ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz. The Cyprus-flagged cargo ship was reportedly left burning, suffered major engine room damage, and was unable to continue its voyage after the alleged attack. U.S. Central Command said President Trump ordered the strikes to make Iran pay a heavy price for targeting commercial shipping in the Gulf. Statement by U.S. CENTCOM read, and I quote, "At 7:15 p.m. ET today, U.S. Central Command forces began launching the third round of strikes this week against Iran. After Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces blatantly attacked MV GFS Galaxy, a Cyprus-flagged container ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz. A civilian crew member is missing and the vessel is unable to continue the journey due to an onboard fire and significant engine room damage. Iran was provided yet another opportunity to demonstrate adherence to the Memorandum of Understanding. After being held accountable for earlier attacks on commercial vessels, but has again failed. In response, the United States is imposing a heavy cost by continuing to degrade Iran's ability to attack civilian mariners and commercial ships freely transiting the strait. The strikes are being carried out at the direction of the Commander-in-Chief." Unquote. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth declared, "Iran made a poor choice. Now they pay," as Washington defended the latest military action. The United States accused Iran of once again violating the Memorandum of Understanding, saying the latest strikes were a direct military response. Footage circulating online and cited by RT News allegedly shows HIMARS rocket launches from Bahrain toward targets inside Iran. Reports also claimed another wave of U.S. strikes on Iran was launched from Kuwait as operations expanded across the Gulf. Explosions were reported in Bandar Abbas as fresh strikes rocked multiple military-linked sites across southern Iran. Additional blasts were reported in Avaz, Minab, Asaluya, Sirik, and Chabahar as the latest attacks unfolded. Iran's Fast News agency reported multiple explosions across Bushehr province during the new wave of U.S. strikes. The latest escalation came after Iran allegedly fired warning shots at a commercial vessel transiting the Strait of Hormuz, according to U.S. claims. Statement by Iran's IRGC Navy read, and I quote, "In our previous statement, we said that foreign interference and the illegal determination of shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz will be met with our decisive response and will disrupt the process of normalizing traffic in the strait. Incited by foreigners, several vessels attempted to move through an unauthorized route, disregarding warnings. To correct their course, consequently, a vessel that had jeopardized maritime security by switching off its systems was struck and brought to a halt. Following this incident, the Strait of Hormuz is closed until further notice, and until the end of U.S. interference in this region, no vessel will be permitted to transit. If the enemy, under the pretext of this incident, which it itself caused, carries out any new act of aggression, it will be met with a severe response, and new enemy bases in the region will be targeted." Unquote. Iran's IRGC declares the Strait of Hormuz closed until further notice, dramatically escalating tensions across one of the world's busiest shipping routes. Tehran says the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed until what it calls US interference in the Middle East comes to an end. The IRGC warns that no commercial or military vessel will be allowed to cross the Strait of Hormuz without Iran's approval. Meanwhile, Oman proposes 2 separate shipping corridors in an effort to reduce tensions and keep maritime traffic flowing. Muscat reportedly suggests dividing operational responsibility for the Strait of Hormuz between Oman and Iran under new arrangement. Iran rejects the proposal, insisting that any future security arrangement must involve joint control of the entire Strait of Hormuz. Tehran reportedly fears separate shipping corridors could permanently divert global maritime traffic away from Iranian-controlled waters.